want to start off by thanking everybody for taking the time to come up today. And it's a great day for Springfield College and Springfield College football and the Brotherhood. We got an opportunity to honor two great people today. We just had 40 recruits on campus. They're walking around shortly right now. And then obviously tonight the Hall of Fame induction with Coach DeLong, well deserved. But in recognition of Coach Holick and his commitment that he had for the program for 40 years. You just don't see that anymore in college football, so give him a round of applause. When we talk about impact at Springfield College and live in the mission and align all of your actions, again, Coach Holick did that. And the mentorship that he provided to thousands of students over the years. Like, legitimately, think about that. The impact at 1 o'clock today. But again, really appreciate it. Appreciate the committee and all that the work that they put in to put this together. All right, so let's give the development, the athletic department. And again, thank all of you for your continued support to Springfield College and the football program. Thank you.
Thank you, Coach Sarasolo. My name's Craig Poisson. I have the pleasure of serving as the Director of Athletics. The next 15 minutes is really a 2-minute drill. And it's designed that way because it's really important to have the head coach currently hear from someone who spent 40 years on the sidelines. But the head coach has a job to do today. So we're going to try to get through 4 speakers in 15 minutes. So that I don't take up any more time, I'm going to introduce our next speaker, the president of Springfield College, Dr. Mary Beth Cooper.
Good morning and welcome back to Alden Street. It's so good to see you all. Even though the weather's not cooperating, it doesn't matter, right? Because we're together. So today we're going to celebrate a lot of things, and tonight I've got probably 45 minutes of things to say about Coach DeLong. So buckle up, because we're going to talk about a lot of history at Springfield College and football. But today we're going to focus on Jack, because there are a lot of people that bring us success, and oftentimes they're in the backdrop or the backstage. And Jack, who has given us 40 years and touched so many lives, for today, this morning, I want to celebrate you, because I think it's important for people to know that your impact on Springfield College is immeasurable. It's significant and it matters. And so I will be brief because I just got that message from my other boss. Right, Poisson, like be brief, we got 4 speakers. I've got some things to say later, but I'm so delighted to have you back. It's a special place, whether it rains or not, and just the fact that we are together makes me so happy. So I will be brief. Thank you, Jack, for everything you did, for every life you touched, including mine. Thank you.
Thank you, President Cooper, and thank you for being here. Former head football coach at Springfield College, being inducted as a member of the class of 2020 after 19 months. We're going to finally pull it off tonight. Head coach Mike DeLong.
"40 years, Coach Holick. 40 years. That's a run. Huh? You can't beat that. 34 years with me. When I first came back here, Jack was already here. People sometimes don't realize that. He was a first-year grad student in the fall of 1980, I believe. And then I came in 81, and that was his second year as a grad student. He came to us as a high school teacher, Trinity grad, long hair, head hair, okay? Fu Manchu, and everybody would always hear about his famous forearm peg, the lost forearm peg. Some of you old guys know what a peg is, but the new guys said, "What's that?" But he would always talk about this forearm peg and his broken ankle as a catcher. And then he'd show us his teeth coming out. That was a thrill. You never quite knew what was going to come out of Coach Holick's office, and you guys that work with him know exactly what I mean. Had lots of names. Big Jack, Coach Manello, Rocco, the Mad Doodler, Flapjack Jack when he was going to venture into big-time wrestling. Most importantly, Coach Holick. The players that come back always wanted to know how Coach Holick did, the respect, and everybody asks how Coach Holick is doing, what's he doing. Coach Holick is the name that everybody knows, and we all appreciate it. Jack, we watched our families grow up together. You know, we put our parents in the ground together, our kids were young together. It's been a trip. My son to this day has a picture that you gave him, and you know, you older guys maybe remember this a little bit, but it's a picture of a child sewing his number on his Little League jersey. You know, and it's Babe Ruth's number, and everybody who came up at a certain level, we all fought for certain numbers, and that was one of them. And he still has his Yogi Berra catcher's mitt that you gave him when he was just a little boy. And those are special things to my son. Jack recruited the South Shore for 100 years, all right? The South Shore of Massachusetts. Every coach, when he would schedule a visit, would know, I got to put an hour aside here, all right? Maybe an hour and a half, all right? But if it was Tuesday, the second day of recruiting, Jack was going to be at Plymouth High School, and he did that for however many, 30 years plus. It was the same school, the same day, and the same visit as he went. He did the same thing. Those of us in the office that would watch him organize his call schedule, he'd have his chart. Tuesday night at 7 o'clock, he was going to call Rich Manello. It was going to happen all that time. He was so organized with that. And then, my God, if you got, how many of you guys got recruited by Coach Holick? A bunch of you know, if you got caught on the phone with one of Coach Holick's stories, you knew that was going to be a long call. All right, as you go. And I can still remember trying to get him to say, you know, there's a thing called texting, all right, and email. But Coach Holick, he couldn't handle that. He still had to make those phone calls, and the stories are all there. There isn't anybody who worked with Coach Holick that didn't learn how to survive on burners, M&Ms, and Diet Coke. All right, it came as part of the thing in the office, and yes, every now and then I'd sneak in and steal a handful of M&Ms. I tried to stay away from the burners, though. If you ever went through one of the meetings with him, and yes, I did fall asleep in one of the meetings, but everybody else did, Coach Holick. I'm going to tell you, some of those meetings were pretty painful. All right, as you went through. Play it again. Play it again. Play it again. How many times we got to see this before we know that, you know, your defensive back fell down in coverage and we weren't happy with it. But he tried to figure out why the defensive back fell down. That was always the key thing with it. But, you know, those meetings and anybody who went through, those guys who were GAs with him that went through those preseason meetings when he put you up on the board and you had to teach everything, and if you didn't get how to write a down block correctly, you taught it again and again and again until you remembered exactly how to write a down block. Jack had, you know, he was demanding, but he had a great technical mind when it came to coaching football. On top of everything, he was a great teacher of grad assistants and players also, but grad assistants that went through and learned how to pay attention to detail, how to check things, how to be sound on defense, how to be sound against everything that a team did. And sometimes we get into a little head-to-head there about, geez, we're doing too much, we're worried about too much. Sooner or later we got to do things, but we always worked it out. Jack was demanding of the GAs, and that's one of the things that makes our GAs special is they move on. They're used to being expected to do things correctly. And anybody that was a GA knows exactly what I mean when they said they got those cards for practice, turned back in with red marks on them, redo it. He graded everything as he went, but his focus on detail and the little things that matter also were one of the things that made him such a great coach. Above all, you know, 40 years, Coach Holick loved SC, and he loved those players that he coached, and he loved the GAs. Jack, it's an honor to have worked with you, but it's even more of an honor to be able to call you a friend. Coach Holick.
Before we hear from Coach Holick, I'd be remiss not to recognize the leadership of the current football coach, Coach Sarasulo. our offensive coordinator, Coach Webster, our defensive coordinator, Lou DiLorenzo, and our football staff who are here today. You all have a job to do. I know when Jack is done with his comments, you're going to walk across the street and get after it on the gridiron. Thank you for your current work. Coach Holick.
Before we get going, I have one thing to say. It's something I said every single day when I was here. Hey, we got a great day for ball. Are you kidding me? President Cooper, Dr. Poison, and anyone connected to the Springfield football program and the college. I'm incredibly humbled, privileged, and honored to have this event today. I promise you, I'm going to make this short and sweet. I'm so fortunate to have an amazing run here at the college. When I got here in June of 1980, who would have thought that I'd be here until 2020? I know I sure as hell didn't. I'm so blessed to have been at this great school for all that time, in the geographic area that I grew up in. When you think about that, that's amazing. It's mind-boggling. And I have several people to thank for that occurring. First, I'd like to thank Coach Howie Vandersea, who hired me here in 1980. What I learned from him is incalculable and invaluable. Second, Mike DeLong, who I worked with for 34 years. And as he said, our relationship is so much more than something that's professional. We've been there for each other, for the births, for the weddings, for the funerals. And Mike, when I say this, I say it from the bottom of my heart. There isn't a class here more honorable person around than you. I'm so happy to be here today for your induction in the hall. There isn't a more deserving inductee. Thank you so much for letting me do my thing and being there when we needed it most. Thanks. Third, I'd like to thank Dr. Poison and the athletic department for being so thoughtful to have this event today. I can't express in words how grateful I am. It's a once-in-a-lifetime thing. Fourth, I'd like to thank all the members of the Springfield College faculty, the coaching staff, administration, who I worked with all through the years. There isn't a more dedicated, caring group of professionals anywhere. You are the creme de la creme. Fifth, I want to thank all the former football players who poured their hearts out for this program and the coaching staff, and to this day are so unbelievably loyal. You are truly special, special people. It's because of you that people want to be here at Springfield College. As you well know, no one really knows what it is to be a Springfield football player unless you've been one. The brotherhood lives forever. I love you all. Thank you. Lastly, I want to thank my family. Katie, my daughter, okay, who's here today. Bubba, my son. Janet, their mom. I can't thank you enough for putting up with me through all those years, for accepting the fact that I was away a lot, too much, for realizing how important football was to me and accepting that, for accepting the fact that I maybe had been at home, but I wasn't. I know how much you sacrificed to allow me to earn a living playing a game. I'm so proud of you I love you so very, very much. Thank you. Having said all that, it's now time to go across the street and root our team on. Thank you so very, very much for being here today. Springfield forever. Thank you.
All right, folks, the rest of the morning before kickoff is obviously some food, and we flipped a coin. If your table is predominantly offense, you are first in line. Help yourself to some food, and we'll have some more comments in about 15, 20 minutes. Good morning again, folks. If I used the 2-minute drill earlier, I'll go with another football analogy. We could just call this one halftime. Just want to make a couple more comments before we get back to the wonderful socialization that is occurring here, and we've all been starved for it for 19 months, and it's great before kickoff at 1 o'clock, so please continue the conversation after I'm done with really just 2 topics. But before I get to the first topic, I want to recognize myself, the efforts, the collaboration that we have with Alumni Relations, Tammy and her staff, to put this event on. As well as our partners from Harvest Table, who replaced Aramark, who replaced Grace Foods. Harvest Table, thank you very much. A small group on campus, when we determined what we were doing this morning, in an effort again to recognize 130 years of football, and under the tent focus on Coach Holick, also had the thought of recognizing teams. It is one of the most difficult things to do, regardless of what program. A 6-4 team could be one of the most salient, significant teams in the history of football, because maybe they ought to have been 0-10. Maybe they had some adversity, no one knows. A real difficult task. We settled on teams that didn't lose or made the NCAA postseason. So I'd just like to give a shout out to those teams. The 1956 team that went 8-0-1 under Coach Ozzie Sloan. The 1965 Ted Dunn-led squad that rattled off a 9-0 record for the first and only to date undefeated and untied record in program history. The 1998 squad, led by Mike DeLong, reached the NCAA tournament going 9-2 on the year. The 2000 squad under Coach DeLong rolled to a program record 11 wins and a conference title and reached the East Region Final of the NCAA Division III tournament. In 2002, Springfield returned to the NCAA Championship tournament and owned an 8-2 mark on the season. 2003, following a 10-0 regular season, Springfield advanced to the second round of the NCAA tournament. 2006, Springfield again advanced to the NCAAs, claiming its share of the Empire 8 title during its record-setting campaign. And lastly, for now, the 2017, under Coach Mike Sarasulo, won the inaugural New England and Women's Men's Athletics Conference NUMAC Championship as the Pride went 10-0 in the regular season and returned to the NCAA Division III Championship Tournament. Members of those programs, please stand and be recognized. 56, 65, 98, 00, 02, 03, 06, and 17. The other topic at halftime is in this spirit of the 130 years of football, the fundraising goal that was attached to this initiative. Springfield College, under the direction of President Mary Beth Cooper, I could assure everyone under this tent, we are very fortunate to have her as the president of this college. She fundamentally understands the value of intercollegiate athletics. Athletics programs go as college presidents go. Never mind the fact that she has led us through this pandemic. Very few colleges in New England brought back students and put them in doubles. We made 13 of 16 weeks in the fall until our transmission rate became too high. We made the full spring term, and we're much back to normal this term than we were certainly a year ago. Under her leadership, Springfield College is committed to helping Coach Cerasuolo and his staff meet the specific needs of the team so that our student athletes have all they need to continue to compete at a high level. I know many of you are committed to the same thing. The brotherhood is committed to each other. Dollars raised in support of the football program help us in so many ways. We cannot keep up with technology in 2021. It helps support recruitment efforts. It helps to upgrade facilities. The bottom line is gifts provide a margin of excellence for a first-class student-athlete experience. And for that, I am deeply appreciative. About 2 years ago, we were delayed, obviously, by the pandemic. We formed a committee in honor of 130 years of football. We set a goal to raise $130,000. There are some members of this committee present. I do not want to name them because we might have had some walk-ins, but if you are a member of this committee, please stand and be recognized for your efforts. I am pleased to announce today we are halfway to our goal. We are at the 50-yard line. You'll be hearing more about this effort in the coming months. For those of you that have already given, I thank you. Our current student athletes, thank you. Coach C and his staff, thanks you. If you haven't made a gift, I hope you will consider your support to the Brotherhood goes a long way. For those of you that got a C- or worse in math, 50-yard line is $65,000 towards our goal of 130. Thank you. Continue to enjoy each other's company. We have a men's soccer game at noon. I know that's not football, but that might give you something to do before kickoff if you leave this tent. Thank you again for being here.